Plug in, log on, let's break it down. Truth ain't scared to be found. Dogma shakes when questions rise. No more fear, no more lies. Cyber deconstruction, let's get real. Faith when challenge starts to peel. If it's built on solid ground, why is it scared to stick around? Sacred text, twisted views. Time to separate lies from truth. Not here to burn, but here to see what survives when the mind breaks free. Deconstruct, analyze, open hearts, open eyes. If it falls, let it be. What remains is meant to be. Cyber deconstruction, let's get real. Faith when challenge starts to peel. If it's built on solid ground, why is it scared to stick around? Not for hate, but for the wise. Truth won't shatter, only lies. Time to start the conversation. Now ain't the time to pretend nothing happened.
Welcome in. Oh. How is everybody doing? Let me go change some settings real quick. I don't want you guys hearing double from my soundboard real quick. So let me go get that shit. And thank everybody who's coming in from the Justin raid. Just need to make a quick adjustment here. Boom, and then want these to go into my headphones. And I think we are good. Let me get things opened up over here on YouTube so I can watch YouTube as well. And we're good to go. So welcome in everybody coming in from the Justin raid. I appreciate it. Justin, thank you so much. I don't know if you're in here yet, but I really appreciate it. Am I muted? Oh, you can't. Oh, hold on. I know what I did. Are you guys not... Is that better? Are you still not able to hear me? Oh, there we go. Now you should be able to hear me. We got that fixed. Should be better. Should be able to hear me now. All right. So hopefully we'll get in. Let's get some debates in. Let me run a quick check real quick. Just want to make sure we're able to hear the soundboard. So let me run a GER check. Really, what we'll run. We'll run this real quick. All right, and make sure we're hearing this over here on YouTube. All right, and make sure we're hearing this over here on YouTube. Oh, YouTube didn't hear it. Let me go get that fixed. If YouTube can't hear my soundboard, we got problems. Right, we'll play that. This time we'll play just a shorter one. There we go. We can hear my soundboard. We're all set. So welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Let me get this goal set up, and hopefully we'll have some good debates tonight. Christianity is false. Can you prove me wrong? If you want to join, if you're over on YouTube and you want to join, it's going to be tinyurl.com/cd-guest. I'd love to chat with you if you're over on YouTube. Unfortunately, it's the only way we can do it. But I'd love to chat with you. Come on over. Let's talk about it. And love to hear your best explanation for why you think Christianity is true. Box is open. And I do want to check my settings over there as well, because I do make some changes when I go live on Reason and Rebellion. So let's see, my audio source for here is gonna be my microphone, and my audio source will be the audio cable. So I think we're good. So welcome in, welcome in. I was listening to Justin. I work for Amazon, so I was listening to Justin's live today, and holy crap, he had some wild and goofy guests today. Those were wild guests. Justin, I don't know how you do it. I lose my mind sometimes with some of those guests. They were unbearable. Very, very unbearable. That last guest was terrible, and I don't know where he was planning on going with that. Like, there's maybe like 2 verses that they try to point to, and as Just was pointing out, they just don't work. The Hebrew doesn't line up. Again, in some texts, we don't even know what it says. But outside of that, when you look at the other text, it doesn't apply to Jesus. Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. And so when it comes to, and as you guys know, as you in the chat are well aware, especially those who've been watching over on YouTube, who are well aware, whenever it comes to any of the messianic prophecies, any of them, they never read them in their context. They're only going to read them 1 or 2 verses, and then once we open their eyes up to the rest of them, well, suddenly we have this second fulfillment, this spiritual fulfillment, which doesn't make any sense at all. None at all. And it's just goofy. But yeah, we've got the box open. We've got somebody over already. So let's go ahead and we'll get him brought on over.
Yeah,
and
I just want to
Kyle,
say, I don't
how
like
are you
niggers
doing?
and stop liking Jews. You're an evil fucking kike. So just stop.
Oh. Well. It was, but he just had to go full anti-Semite. I gotta remember. Look. Here's the thing. I'm gonna start reading names, and I'm gonna pause for a minute before I bring them up. Because That guy Kyle, I gotta remember Kyle. I need to make like a list of people to not bring up. But yes, Preston, he was an absolute POSF piece of shit, frack face. I've got to wait 20 minutes before I go all out on for YouTube purposes. Somebody was asking over on YouTube, was I a Christian? Absolutely not. I wasn't. I grew up practicing Orthodox Judaism, and when I deconstructed from Judaism when I was 16 years old, I was looking for something to replace it because I hadn't yet reached the point of atheism. I just knew that Judaism wasn't it. And I did. I looked at Christianity a little bit. I got as far as reading Matthew chapters 1 and 2. And then I put the book down and I said, that's goofy. Whoever, and it's weird because Matthew is written as if it's for the Jewish people. But whoever wrote it clearly doesn't understand Jewish culture. I wish I could. I don't know who they are over in chat. And real quick, from Adele, $5 super chat over on YouTube. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. It means so much to me. Wow, that started off ugly. A super chat to recover from that BS. Good to see you, friend. Adele, it's good to see you too. Everybody, Adele, and correct me if I'm wrong, Adele. Don't want to get this wrong. It's your partner. I believe it's your husband. But let's give both of them some massive W's. Not only do they help support me, but they support Justin as well. So let's give Adele, that's Adele. Let's give them some massive, massive W's. They're in our lives. They're supporting us the best they can. And I know Justin appreciates it. I sure as hell appreciate it. Thank you so, so much. And F. Unfortunately, on the Video Ninja, as far as I know, I can dig into it a little bit deeper. I'm not seeing where I can block on Video Ninja, but I'll definitely look into it. Cause yeah, there are some people that are absolute fuck faces. And another $5 super chat from Woven Joker Lokison. Yeah, what a bozo. First call. All the best Christers out here Christing tonight. Go get them, Cyber. I'll try my best. I will try my absolute best. None of them have ever been able to give any compelling arguments so far. And we got another one from DZ Debates, $9.99. I believe that's Justin. If you're not following his DZ Debates account on YouTube, go follow it. Justin posts his other clips there. So go give that channel a follow. If you're not, there's a reason why Paul couldn't convert Jews and had to go to the Gentiles. Absolutely, Justin. Absolutely. And we've got another $5 super chat from Oz F. And Oz, I apologize. I know I've missed your super chats in the past. I went back and noticed I missed a few. I reread them last live, but I'm going to read it this time. Do you think that with all the technology in an iPhone, it's possible to come together from all its elements so that it functions properly? You would think so. You would really think so with all the technology we have, that the streaming business would be a lot easier than it is. And thank goodness, Video Ninja, while it's not perfect, it's free, it's fairly simple to use. Sometimes it's just a matter of getting technologies to play well with each other, and it's not always easy. It's not easy. But thank you all so much for those super chats. Still waiting to see if we get anybody in almost. And if you're not already, Jaren and I, we now have a podcast that we do once a week. It's called Reason and Rebellion. Go give that a follow on both TikTok and YouTube. It's a podcast we do once a week. It's on Thursday nights. It takes place of my live on Thursday night, so it starts at 9 Central, 10 9 Mountain, 10 Central. So go give that a follow. Would love to see you all there. Cheddarson, thank you for the $10 super chat. I read the passages you mentioned from Vatican II, but I'm not sure where I see Sola Scriptura there. How do you define Sola Scriptura? So Cheddarson, what it essentially says, and we can get this brought up. So if you're reading the chapter 3, and let me get this brought up real quick. So it's not that it says Sola Scriptura. They'll argue that it's not, but it mentions, and let's get this brought up real fast so you all can see it. So it's Diverbum, and it's chapter 3. And where you're going to go, and it's a whole web page, so I'll try to get this to where you all can see it as best I can. But essentially what it talks about is you're going to read where in chapter 3 it says that they have been committed to writing under the inspiration of the Holy Spirit for Mother Church, relying on the beliefs of the apostles. They give a few verses, holds that the books of both the Old and New Testament in their entirety with all their parts are sacred and canonical because it's written under inspiration of the Holy Spirit. And then it says they have God as their author and have been handed on as such to the church herself. In composing the sacred books, God chose men, and while employed by him, they made use of their powers and abilities, so that with him acting in them and through them, they as true authors co-signed to writing everything and only those things which he wanted. Therefore, since everything is asserted by the inspired authors or sacred writers must be held to be asserted by the Holy Spirit, it follows that the books of Scripture must be acknowledged as teaching solidly, faithfully, and without error that the truth which God wanted put into sacred writings for the sake of salvation. Therefore, all Scripture is divinely inspired and has its use for teaching the truth and refuting error, for reformation of manners and discipline and living right, so that the men who belongs to God may be efficient and equipped for the good work of every kind. Then they quote some more scripture. So with this, there are, and keep in mind, this was done, I believe this came out in 1965 is when they held the council for this. And so you'll get some pushback on still like the Sola Scriptura. But what this shows is that once we run into a contradiction with church fathers, because they believe in apostolic tradition and the tradition of the church fathers, that they have to really contend with, we know what the scriptures say, we know what it says, and it seems to be the case that there are issues where the church fathers may not like something, and so they're interpreting it a little bit differently. And so this reads like the scriptures should be read as Sola Scriptura. And so when you show this, again, especially the chapter 3 part of this to Catholics, you're going to get some Catholics that are going to be like, oh, yeah, so the scripture should come before what the church fathers say. Others are going to argue the apostolic tradition. So hopefully that answers your question, Cheddarson. I don't know if it does, but that's what the Vatican Council says. And we do have from Rock Hard for Doug, welcome to Cyber, and thank you for your that was his membership post. If you're a member, I believe as a member you get once a month you get a free post. So thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. And then we do over there, we've got Jen over there in modding for me over on YouTube. And let me get that pinned up there. Let's give some W's to Jen. Jen has been awesome, has been hanging out in the lives. If you are looking, if you're frequent my lives often, and you do want to mod for me, let Jen know, and Jen can definitely shoot me a message. Or you can reach out to me on TikTok or YouTube. Reach out to me, and we'll see about getting you modded. But we're still waiting to see if we have anybody yet. Something that I have no, we do have Maddie, so let's get Maddie on up. Over here on Video Ninja, we'll get Maddie on up real quick. How you doing, Maddie?
Doing all right. So, what's wrong with anti-Semitism? It's the truth. What's wrong with that?
Oh, so we got another anti-Semite. What's wrong with anti-Semitism is we shouldn't ever dislike any people group for the sake of them being who they are. I think that's disgusting. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is, Aaron, with the anti-Semitism. It is absolutely ridiculous. And this is the thing, like they wonder why those of us who are part of marginalized communities, they wonder why we're hesitant to be open about it, right? But then when we're not, they think we're trying to hide and like trying to hide amongst them. And it's like, no, we just need to stay safe. Doesn't matter if you're Jewish, if you're LGBTQIA plus, part of the BIPOC community, any hatred towards any groups for the sake of them being just who they are is absolutely disgusting. And it's because of people like you bigots out there. It's people like you are the reasons why we don't come out. Reasons why a lot of us are extremely hesitant to come out is because of bigots like you. All right, we'll bring Jake on up. How you doing, Jake?
If anti-Semitism is wrong and it's hateful, then why?
Jake, just quit coming up. Like, don't come up. If you want to talk about the scripture, come up. Talk about the scripture. Don't be a douche canoe. We got another $5 super chat from Oz F. Anti-Semitism is a disease of the heart. Christians, Muslims, and Jews lived for centuries in peace. Spain before the Spanish Inquisition. Study more. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the thing is, like, I've read the Quran. I have my issues with the Quran, but I'm never going to go out and attack people that are Muslim. That's disgusting, right? Let's attack the substance. Let's attack the religion. Let's talk about that. We'll try Andrew, and I'm going to try something after this. How you doing, Andrew? Andrew, you are live and on the air, and you are currently clicking in everybody's ear. We'll go ahead and drop him, and if he decides that he wants to come back up, we'll definitely bring him back up. Well, so one of the nice things about Video Ninja is if somebody comes up and they come up again, so like if you're watching when I'm on Reason and Rebellion, there's a URL at the bottom, and I'll copy that URL and post it into OBS. But whenever they come back up, it's the exact same URL. So I think with that Jake, whatever he comes up with, I think I just need to remember that as well. And whenever I see it, I just won't let him back up. But yeah, it's just disgusting. And I just, yeah, it does. All right, we've got Nathan. Nathan coming on up. How you doing, Nathan? Nathan, you are live
Hello?
in. Hello. Are you there? So are you ready to have a debate? Right, yeah. So mature. So mature. Nathan, I'm just not bringing you back up. Like I don't know why you think I'd bring you back up. You're not clearly not here to have a debate. But come up when you're ready to have a debate, and we'll definitely talk. Maybe we'll see. I don't think he's going to talk though. How you doing, Nathan?
Oh, I'm in, but I can't hear anything.
You what?
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, stop hating Christianity if it's wrong to hate people. And Christ is King, white power. How about that? Kill all the niggers. Just saying.
Yeah, yeah, this guy keeps crashing out. Um, I would clip this. You know what? You know what? As a matter of fact, I can clip it because luckily YouTube does. Well, I can add in the beeps. We'll just add in beeps. We'll censor it. But Nathan, quit coming up and being disgusting. Like, come debate the Bible. I know you want to run from it. Hello, Ghost. How are you doing today? If you're not following Ghost of Christian Past, make sure you give her a follow. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna invite her up real quick. She might be busy. She might not be able to come up, but let's give her a follow. Oh, this was unexpected.
I'm not busy. Never too busy. Well, that's a lie. Hey, how are you?
Oh no, is it doing the quiet thing again?
Oh no, I can barely hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go. There's my headphones. I can hear you now.
Okay. Well, you don't sound like you're a million miles away.
Is this better?
That is better. That is better.
I'm putting the microphone here. Let me show you exactly what this is. Hold on, look. The microphone like literally right here. I'm trying not to talk too loud because I feel like it would be loud for everybody, like literally.
Oh, it won't be loud. I've got things.
Oh, you've got things. Okay. Okay. Take me off the big screen. I don't have my cool background and shit.
So hold on. So this is that's Ghost of Christian Past, and hold on. I'm gonna do something really fast. Go here to filters. We'll go here. I'm going. Oh, that's. Man, I put myself too much of a ghost. I'm going to become the ghost of cyber present.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. Oh, I need to do that.
I
I
thought
love that.
I thought you would like that. It's a filter you can do on OBS.
Yes. I have a time set up. Well, I need to set up a time with one of my mods to do that. You could probably help too. Honestly, It's just finding the time. I have to find the time to set it all up. Anyway.
Yep. And we got another $10 super chat from Oz F. In response to atheism, if an iPhone cannot randomly come together from its components with no human hand, how can the human body do it while it's many magnitudes more complicated in design? Well, so it does it through, we get life through abiogenesis, and then from there it's just a process of evolution. It is the case that as humans evolve, there's traits that are selected for, and once those traits are selected for, they are passed on. And it turns out that when something is born with a trait that's not going to be selected for or not beneficial, it turns out that those creatures tend to unalive and pass away, and the genes don't get passed. And so genes that are selected for just get passed on, and that's how we end up being where we are today. We got another $6.66 from Decon Cam. I love you, Cyber Destruction with a heart. I love you too. Thank you so much for the $6.66. And let's get some massive Hail Satans in all chats. I want to see a bunch of Hail Satans in all chats.
Hail Satan.
Hail Satan. So yeah, I've been getting some wild anti-Sem. Well, it's let me rephrase. I've had one anti-Semite that keeps coming on.
Fun. I had a bunch of dishonest Christians today. That's pretty much all I had.
Did you?
Yeah, I had one guy who came up who would not stop burping. It was the most awkward thing. Like, we kept muting him because he was interrupting, and then he just would unmute to burp.
Are you serious? Oh,
Yes.
What was his name?
Shoot, I don't remember. I don't remember. I'd have to look. I'd recognize the profile picture.
Okay, real quick, we got a $5 super chat, a Canadian from Absurdus Igtheist. Hey, Cyber, have you heard of the watchmaker argument? Checkmate, atheist. Fuck ghosts, we've been had. They're throwing out the old watchmaker argument. I can't. End stream, abort mission.
And, yep, I gotta go. Quick, let me run.
Quick, start praising Doug. We gotta praise Doug now. Because I sure as hell still ain't gonna worship Yahweh, but praise Doug.
Praise Doug. All hail his rocky name.
And then we got
Yes,
another
JB.
$10 super chat from Oz. If biogenesis explains life from non-life, why hasn't ever been replicated in a lab, even with intelligent scientists, advanced tools, ideal conditions? What a random force did it better? So it is the case that we have created amino acids. It is the case that we have done all sorts of things with it. It's just also the case that in order to get it to be sophisticated, we also need billions and billions of years, and at least thousands and hundreds of thousands of years, which we don't have. So that's why we haven't had it done, but we know the steps, we know how it works. And I don't know what this money system is, so if you could post it in there, I'd love to know what this money system is. But Luix Jost, thank you for the 249. I don't know what your money system is, but thank you so much for that. Means a lot. Want to do some brainstorming and hoping you can understand my analogy. Why is it good to treat a gun loaded, even if it isn't? Because it is the case that you never actually know if the gun is loaded, and so until you know that it is unloaded, you should still treat it loaded. But even with firearm safety, we should still always ensure that we are always treating it loaded, because you may set it down and think that it's not loaded, and next thing you know, somebody's playing a prank on you, and bad things are happening. I served 9 years in the Marine Corps. I was in the infantry. Yeah, gun safety is just important. That's why we would do that. Anyways, John Boy, can I get your age?
I'm 24.
All right, and are you a Christian?
Well, I'd just like to say that we all need to praise Doug. Set aside this organized religion and praise Doug. Be one.
Amen.
And praise Doug. Yeah. Thank you.
Go ahead
for your
and
time.
preach.
Oh, I do have a couple questions though, actually. So what brought you out of Christianity?
So I was never a Christian. I practiced Judaism, and in fact, it was the slavery verses. For me, it was the slavery verses. The slavery verses brought me out of it initially, and then I started, because I got to the age where like I could actually understand that, like, and when you're reading it in the context, being like, wait. And my grandpa was a rabbi, and so I went to my grandpa and was like, wait. So if I'm reading this correctly, we can own slaves? And he's like, and again, in Judaism, depending on the sect and where you're at, they're going to apologize it away as well. And so it was one of those, well, that's why we now have rabbinic Judaism. That's why, you got to go read the Mishnah with this. We got to go read the Talmud, and it just apologized away. But that's what started it. So that's what started it. And then as I started doing more and more studying into not only the slavery, but I started studying the G-sides that are being done. And one thing that you learn being Jewish, and anybody who's Jewish will tell you this, every holiday that we have, literally almost every holiday we have, celebrates a tragedy that has befallen our ancestors and our people. And we celebrate it by mourning and then eating lots of food. But I started looking at that as well, and that really kicked in. I'm like, for being God's chosen people, God is pretty damn anti-Semitic for being God's chosen people. And I started actually, from there, studying some of the historical aspects of these, come to the realization Moses never existed, means the Exodus never happened. When you read Daniel, Daniel was written closer to the Greek occupation, probably during the Greek occupation, which is why Daniel gets that stuff extremely accurate. And then as he moves closer to more towards the Babylonian era, which is when he supposedly wrote this, he is extremely inaccurate. In fact, and real quick, let me knock off this super chat real quick before it disappears. Woven Joker Lokison for the $5 super chat. Thanks for your service, Cyber. I was 8 years in the Army, 15 months Iraq, combat recovery operator, now retired. Hey, thank you for your service. Yeah, I was in the infantry for 6 years, then I did a lateral move to crash fire rescue, so I did aircraft firefighting for my last few years. I ended up getting medically retired for some injuries that I sustained in Iraq while I was in the infantry. It was just as a firefighter, they began to manifest themselves more, and I ended up medically retired. But back on point, so yeah, I started studying how a lot of these historical events probably didn't even happen themselves. Not to say that all of them are fake and made up, but we were never enslaved as an entire Israelite people to the Egyptians. Never happened. Is there a case that maybe there was a small group of Israelites that were, and they got their freedom back, and when they joined with the mass of the Israelites, as the Israelites were forming as a nation, my personal belief with that is that the Israelites are probably a group of wandering Canaanites who formed together because strength in numbers, and they formed together and formed the Israelite nation, and probably one of those groups probably was enslaved in Egypt, and they wanted their story maintained. But I don't believe that the Israelite people as a whole. I also am a firm believer that this is where we get the idea of Judah and Benjamin probably maintaining, having a monotheistic view, whereas the other tribes probably had a polytheistic view. And it's just my belief, and through some of the studying that I've done, that I believe that this mono versus polytheistic view is actually what caused the schism, to cause the kingdom of Israel to move north and the kingdom of Judah to stay in Jerusalem. I believe it was the schism, which is why you see so often whenever Israel, the kingdom of Israel, is referred to, they're mentioning Baal and all these other deities. They're kind of hearkening to that. But yeah, so that's what caused my ultimate deconstruction and causing me to fall away.
Yeah, and then that makes sense if you look at scripture from a different aspect as to opposed to like just reading it how you grew up, where to say, with your parents and stuff like that, and going to church. It's a little different from you because you were brought up Jewish, right? And so it's slightly different from the Christian indoctrination, I guess. So that doctrination doctorate you receive growing up. But there's some similarities. But when you look at it from a different aspect and you look at the punctuations differently and use them differently as opposed to how your pastor would say them and things like that, they do start to develop different meanings, and you start to question those things. And you're very right too. I've brought up some things to a pastor before, and they do get apologized away. And so it's kind of frowned upon to think about things in a different light, which is unfortunate to say the least. But I appreciate your time, and I like listening to your live. So yeah, keep doing what you're doing, man, and thanks for your service. Okay.
And thank you, and I appreciate you coming up. And yes, praise Doug. And Carlos, thank you so much for sending the 5 Cyber Deconstruction gift memberships. Thank you so much. 5 of you over on YouTube have received memberships. I don't know what I'm going to do yet for the memberships. I need to think of something to do for you all, because I don't have a cool cheat sheet like Justin does. In fact, I too am a user of Justin's cheat sheet. So I don't know what I'm going to do for you all, but I will figure something for you out. But a perk that the members do have right now is, again, on Reason and Rebellion. It's Jaron and I's podcast every Thursday night. We're going to mainly focus on religion and atheist topics. However, we will venture out into other things. So if you are a member, you can shoot either myself or Jaron on either, Christ Before Jesus, here on Cyber Deconstruction, or even over on Reason and Rebellion, on the channel there. Shoot us a topic that you would like us to talk about, especially Jaron, because his Christ Before Jesus is mainly focused on mythicism, and it's focused on his book Christ Before Jesus, and so he doesn't want to kind of muddy the water talking about some of his beliefs with that, because he doesn't want people going in thinking he has a bias. So on that channel, he is able to be more open about his beliefs and things. So shoot us some messages. And Cyber, do I have a Doug? I don't have a Doug. In fact, I got blessed. I got blessed through a holy toe stubbing. I have the first rock apostle, Rocky. This is Rocky. This is the son. This is the child, the only rock-gotten son of Doug and Sharon Stone. This is the rock postle. This is the rock that Doug threw. So if you've ever heard of Rocky, this is Rocky. This is the one, the only Rocky. And no, Rocky cannot move one googly eye at a time.
All hell,
But
Rocky.
that is the first rock postle.
How do we
And-
address Rocky?
You could just
Like
call
Lord?
him the rock postle.
The rock postle.
The rock postle. Yeah, he's not a god. He's not God. Because
Okay.
Doug is God. Yeah, I don't think we have a like there's a holy trinity, but I think it's a holy trinity that actually makes sense. Like 1 + 1 + 1 = 3. Okay, it's not 1 + 1 + 1 still equals 1. So yeah, he is the rock postle. I think he'll take your excellence as well.
Oh,
And when he wants
I
to
like
get
that.
your attention, yes, he does apparate right in front of your pinky toe. He will find a way right in front of your little toe. And that's how you know he wants to get your attention. And like Doug, he is a big fan of Kraken as well. He's a huge fan of Kraken, and he's a fan of Monster as well.
Chat says, shouldn't there be 12 rock postles?
There should be. I don't know if we've gathered them all. I will need to get with Doug or with Justin, and we'll need. I can't get with Doug. I don't talk to Doug. Justin talks to Doug. I think we'll need to get
Only
with
Justin.
Justin and find out. And Justin, if you're still watching, are there other 12 rock postle or 11 more rock postles? And I think there is one that might have betrayed Doug, and I think he skipped himself across a lake.
Doug is God. God Poseidon. Anyway,
God Poseidon.
Cyber, thank you so much for having me up. I have to put kids to school in the morning, so I have to go to bed. As you can tell, I'm already tired because I am fucking up my words.
All right, you have a fantastic evening.
Thank you so much. See you later.
All right. And make sure you give Ghost of Christian Past a follow as well. And we got another $10 super chat from Oz. Isn't atheism a misnomer? Everyone has a god. Some people take idols. Some people take other creations. Many people take their own desires as their god. Humans innately always take something as god. No, Oz. What I take to be a god is a mind that created everything. That's what I take to be a god. And I don't believe that a single one of those actually existed. So I don't think any of those exist. I think that's just a misnomer. I think you're wrong. I think, though, don't get me wrong, I'll keep taking your money. Like, I love the super chats you're saying, but if you do want to talk, hop in a box. I would love to chat with you. And we have 297 people here watching. Again, if there's any Christians here, I do want to know, I'm a firm believer, Christianity is false. I want to know, are you able to prove me wrong? I haven't had anybody come up and give any arguments that have convinced me yet. If you think you can, hop on up. I would love to chat with you about it. Again, you can go into the link if you're on YouTube, tinyurl.com/cd-guest. I would love to chat with you there. If you're on TikTok, just click the little box. It's just right down here. Just right down there. Give it a click. I'd love to chat with you. We'd love to get in some debates. All right, we've got Ghostface popping on up. We'll see if they can talk. Got another $10 super chat from Oz. I respect you. No animosity here, just dialogue. Oh no, Oz, no animosity. Just like Justin and many of the others on the Deconstruction crew, we will match energy. So if you come up here and have a respectful conversation, I'll be super respectful back. But I do appreciate you, Oz. And Ghostface, how are you doing?
What's up, man?
Hey, not a whole lot. How old are you?
Man, I am 47.
All right. And
I wanted. I came in and saw your chat, started listening, and my little girl got me hooked up with this. She's a lot smarter with computer stuff than I am. But I just wanted to let you know. Hold on one second. Hold on. Man, when I was 23, I was living up in the Metroplex. I was a marketing manager. I had a good job, making lots of money. Um, had a nice townhouse truck, bought a motorcycle. Um, had a wreck, man. I died in my best friend's arms. I put in the chat. Some of the people in the chat couldn't believe it. They were telling me how to explain it. Asked me to call in. This is the first time I ever called in to a show. Are you there?
yeah, I'm here.
Okay, man. I was probably doing 65 around a curve, or deers in the road, missed a deer going about 65 miles an hour. It's about 10:30 at night. When I wouldn't have been on nowhere. My best friend saw me go off the road. He didn't think it's that bad. He pulled up to me. He turned his bike where he could see me. He ran out to where I was. He said I was breathing all messed up. So I punctured my lung. He said I didn't want to move you. I didn't know if you broke your neck or back, so it didn't move me. And he said all of a sudden I quit breathing. And so he took my helmet off. He put his finger in my nose, checked my pulse. He said my best friend died in my arms. He said he stood up, kind of screaming and crying, lost control. Right in the middle of the country here, nowhere. And he said he gained composure, jumped down, started doing CPR. And they got about the second round of CPR. He heard a car coming. He ran on the road, made the car stop. When I came out of the coma in the hospital, I said, hey, man, you were standing there like this. Your bike's parked right there. There's a car here. People here. My bike's here. I'm laying over here. He said, how'd you know that? I said, I saw you. He said, you couldn't have seen me. You're dead. I said, I know. I saw you. My grandmother at the time, she was dead for 10 years. And she was there with me, man. As real as if I was standing
Hey,
for
just
you right
real quick. Can you slow down real quick? Chat's only hearing like every fifth word you're saying.
All right. 01, it was September 22nd of 01. It was like 10 days after 9/11. I was 23 years old. I had my motorcycle. Me and my friend going the country riding around. Deer's on the road. I missed a deer across the road doing probably 65 miles an hour. Bike bounced up, hit a tree, destroyed the bike. Destroyed the bike. I slammed into the ground. I pushed my thigh bone through my hip. I blew my hip out. I broke all my ribs, punctured my lung, bruised my heart, kidney, and spleen. Had massive nerve damage in my leg.
Okay.
Had a brain injury. Had bleeding that's one of the brain. I lost all my short-term memory. I died in his arms. He said this shit. I told him exactly what I saw. I saw myself laying there. I couldn't believe it. All of a sudden, I'm standing there. I look in the ground. I see myself. I was like, man, you're dead. Look, you're dead. That's what I told myself. I looked on the highway, and I saw him with his bike turned sideways in the road, and our car was turned sideways in the road. When I came out of the coma, I told him where everything was. He said that there's no way you knew that. You were dead. I said, I know, I saw you. And he said he told me that I died in his arms. I quit breathing in his arms. He checked my heartbeat. He checked for breath, and he confirmed it. He wouldn't have believed it at the time. He was he smoked meth.
Well, be careful with using be careful with the names of D-rugs. We can't say those on TikTok, so just be careful with saying those.
I apologize.
But yeah, but real quick though. So when I was in college, I actually did a paper on out-of-body experiences and NDEs. I did a paper on them. And I did a lot of studies on them. And to a bunch of hospitals all over the world. We sent in their ERs and in their surgical rooms. I sent different things, toys, different things, and we had them put them up where they couldn't be seen if you were on a gurney or a stretcher, where you had to be up to see them. And we also had some of the medical staff put red crosses on top of their head in some manner. And so not only that, but I studied over 5,000 near-death experience and out-of-body experiences through my study, and upon doing my own about 1,000 different studies of my own. It was me and a group of people that were doing this. And what we found is that, so first is when it is a case, I served as when I was in the Marine Corps, I was mentioned this earlier, my last 3 years in the Marine Corps, I did crash fire rescue. During that time, I was a paramedic. I did my off time working as a volunteer firefighter, and what we found is that when it comes to near-death experiences, so the thing that you have is what's called legally dead. Legally dead just means that you're not breathing and there's not a pulse. It doesn't mean that your brain's not working, though. So it could be the case that your eyes are open and your eyes are still taking in input, right?
Right.
Only a medical doctor, or very rare circumstance, depends on what our protocol says as a paramedic. Very, very rare circumstances do the protocol allow a paramedic to declare you dead. Paramedics can't do that on your own. On our own, we're not medical doctors. We have protocols that do that, and normally you still have to call the medical doctor, tell them what you're observing, and the medical doctor who's in the ER, who's in charge of all the paramedics, they'll be the ones that make that call. But anyways,
Right.
where I'm going at though is a lot of times people who don't know, they're not medical staff, they will be convinced that you are dead.
Man, I'm
and even
telling you, I know I was dead. The only memory records, I had a brain injury. I lost all my
well
short-term
let
memory.
me finish real quick. But
right,
through
look.
my studies, right? So what I'm saying is during that time, your body was still able to take in senses, right? You heard people around you talking about what was going on, and that's all input going into your brain. You're able to see, your eyes are going to be opening and closing, you're going to be going in and out, and your eyes are going to take in what's around you. Now, during all that time, your body's going into shock. While your body's going into shock, it's trying to make you comfortable. And what your body doesn't expect is medical intervention. Your body doesn't naturally, or doesn't expect that naturally. It just happens. And so your body is trying to make you comfortable so you can pass on, but medical intervention comes in that stops that. So this throws you into like a dreamlike state. And through our studies, we found that when it came to these near-death experiences, that they didn't exist. Not a single person who would say like I was floating above my body, and they would say they were able to look around the room. And the key things that we were looking for is, are they able to identify the objects that we hid high up? Could they identify those? If they could identify those, awesome. Not a single one did. Anytime any of the medical staff bent over to where the cross on their head could be noticed, they would write that in their report that they sent back to us. And it turns out that every time somebody said, oh yeah, and we saw the red crosses on top of the medical staff's head, it was only in the cases where in the report that we received, they wrote that yes, the patient may have seen this because I bent over in front of them. And so it is the case that like near-death experiences just aren't a thing. Unfortunately, I wish they were. I wish there was better news for that, but it's not a thing. Your body was literally just taking in input and trying to help you make sense of it as your body was preparing to pass on.
I'm glad you feel that way, man. I'm glad you feel that way, but I'm telling you, this happened 24 years ago, and every day I've thought about it. I think about it all the time. So I'm standing there, I look on the ground, I see myself laying there, and I said, look, you're dead. I couldn't believe I was dead. I saw my friend Kelsey's bike in the street. I saw the car he stopped. I saw my body. I saw everything. My grandmother, she was dead for 10 years of time. I came to Christ. I was probably 12, 13 years old. Made him my Lord and Savior. I was raised in the church, this and that. But I have my struggle.
But it just sounds like you were in shock. Literally just sounds like you were in shock. I mean, I hate to tell you, but that's what it was. You were in shock.
That I died in his arms?
Because you were what's called clinically dead. You weren't actually dead. You were clinically dead.
How did I tell him where the people were standing, where he was standing, where his bike was? There's no way I knew. They said there's no way.
Because you were still taking in input while you were laying in his arms. You're still taking in input. Your brain's still functioning. Your brain's still.
I couldn't see the car from. I was down in the bottom of a ditch. I couldn't see the car. I wasn't floating. I was just standing there. My grandmother was dead for 10 years already, and she was there with him. Once I saw her, I never looked at anything else. It wasn't her body, it's her spirit. But she said, it's not time for you. God told me to tell you you can't go. It's not your time. Something else was said. I don't know what that was. The next thing I know, I wake in the hospital. I was in a coma for about 2 months. And when I came out of the coma, I explained to my best friend what happened. He said, "There's no way you could have known that." I'm telling you, when you take your last breath, there's more to come. People think you died, nothing else happens, because he was that he wouldn't have believed at the time.
And
He,
a
he got
lot of the and a lot of the cases of it's not time to go yet, it's because your friend is there with you. Your friend's there with you and he's trying to save your life, right? All these can be explained and this is one reason, one reason why I usually don't allow anecdotal stories is because this breaks my heart, right?
Right.
I'm a firm believer that whatever is keeping somebody on this side of inhaling oxygen and exhaling carbon dioxide is the moral thing to do. But at the same time, when people share their story, and I let you share your story, I also have a
appreciate that.
responsibility to be like, well, look.
You want to try to explain it away. I understand you want to try to explain it away.
No, I'm not explaining away. It's what
telling you
studies
right
and
now,
science. It's what studies
I
and
don't care what the
science
studies
say.
and science show, man. I lived it. I was dead. I was looking at myself. I saw
You weren't
everything.
dead. That's what I'm saying
I
is
was
you
dead.
weren't dead.
I was
Your
dead.
friend's not a
I
medical
died.
doctor. He's not medical staff.
wasn't,
He
but
doesn't know.
I'm telling you, man. I was care flighted to Dallas. They told my mom and dad, they said I wasn't going to make it to the night. I pulled through. I got 23 pins, 5 plates, and 7 rods to put back in my body.
Sure, yeah, that's fantastic. But that doesn't mean you were dead.
Jesus Christ.
But that doesn't mean you were dead. That just
dead.
means you had. That means you had a horrific accident.
Explain to me how I described everything to him. I'm standing
Because
out,
people
pulling the
around
car
you, okay, I'll explain this. Because
Go ahead.
while you're there, right, chances are that police got there and people are explaining it, and your body is taking this in. While you were in the hospital, people were talking about it while you were in the hospital, right?
There was nobody there. It was me and him. We're out in the middle of the country, middle of nowhere. We're not in a closer town. There's not a freeway. We're on the country highway.
It doesn't matter. All it takes is for people to be talking about this while you're unconscious and your body takes that in.
In the back of your mind, you know that it's real. You know what happens when you die. You know
I participated in and looked over 7,000 studies of out of body experiences. And not a single one of them came to fruition. They weren't real. Each and every one of them could be explained away.
How can you tell me it wasn't real when I was standing there?
Because you're delusional, right? You need to cope. You were in an accident and you need copium. It's your copium.
You need something. You need Christ in your life. I'm telling you right now, when you take your last breath, you're going to find out.
I won't. Christ doesn't exist. It is the case that Christ doesn't exist. It is the case. He doesn't exist. Well, what's your strongest, outside of anecdotal evidence, what's your strongest evidence that Jesus exists? What's your strongest evidence?
The fact that the Bible is yet to be disproven. The fact that...
What do you mean the Bible is yet to be disproven? The Bible contradicts all the time.
Tell me.
Yeah, do you think Jesus ever said anything that was incorrect?
No.
All right, so...
Give me an example.
Yeah, we'll go read. I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but I'm going to bring this up for chat to see. So where we are going to go first is to Mark chapter 2, verses 25 through 26. And this is Jesus talking. And it says, "And he said to them, have you never read what David did when he and his companions were hungry and in need of food? How he entered the house of God when Abiathar was high priest and ate the bread of the presence, which it is not lawful for any but the priest to eat, and he gave some to his companions." Now, the issue with this is Jesus is quoting this, and Jesus says Abiathar was the priest. The issue is Abiathar was not the priest. His dad was the priest. When we go to 1 Samuel... Oh, let me get this fixed real quick. When we go to 1 Samuel chapter 21, where this story is at, it says, David said to the priest Ahimelech, The king has charged me with a matter and said to me, no one must know anything of the matter about which I send you and with which I have charged you. I have made an appointment with the young men for such and such a place. Now then, what have you at hand? Give me 5 loaves of bread or whatever is here. The priest, again Ahimelech, answered David, I have no ordinary bread at hand, only holy bread, provided that the young men have kept themselves from women. So Jesus just flat out gets the story wrong. Like, the Bible is full of contradictions. It's full of things that just don't make sense.
You pull up some random verse and you want to try to disprove.
I pulled up it's not a random verse.
You're delusional, bud. You are delusional.
No, it's not a random verse. It's a verse. You said the Bible has yet to be disproven. Hold on. Listen. You said that the Bible has yet to be disproven. And then I show you a scripture where we have a clear contradiction. And the only thing you can say is
because
I'm delusional.
The son's name were
I think you have Stockholm syndrome.
What was the father's name? What was the father's name?
Abiathar's father's name? It was Ahimelech. Abiathar was Ahimelech's son.
So it wasn't him. You are your father, right?
Wait, say what?
You are your father, correct?
No, incorrect.
Ahimelech
is Ahimelech, and Abiathar was the son of Ahimelech, Abiathar. Abiathar was not Ahimelech.
So his father's name was Ahimelech? Or he was
his father's name. Yeah, Ahimelech was the father, and Abiathar was the son, and they were not priests at the same time. Abiathar became priest after Ahimelech passed away, after Ahimelech was killed.
You're apparently pulling some random verse and twisting the way you want to twist it.
I'm not twisting. I'm just reading the word. Look, I'm sorry you don't listen. I'm sorry you don't like what the word says.
I'm telling you.
I'm sorry you don't like what the words say, but that's what the words say.
You're gonna know that it's real.
I won't know because God's not real.
I'm telling you. You can keep saying that all you want to. You can look at the stars. You look at the moon. Look at everything. You can't tell me that this came from a big bang. Are you serious?
Yeah, I look at the sun and I come to the hold on. I look at the sun. Hold on, don't make me mute you. Don't make me mute you.
Go ahead, man.
We hold on. So I'll mute you then. Yeah, so when I look at the stars and the sun, I have to ask myself, why does the sun give us cancer? Can you answer that? Why does the sun give us cancer? If God created the world so perfect, why does the sun give us cancer?
Because we mess it up. We're in a fallen world.
Oh. So we have cancer because we're in a fallen world?
God gave us a choice. We decided to disobey.
So how do you explain how do you explain dinosaurs having cancer? Dinosaurs were lived long before humans. So how do dinosaurs have cancer?
Do you know that dinosaurs had cancer?
Yeah, we have evidence of it.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
Yeah, they had osteosarcoma. Yeah, Google it. If you ever get a chance, as a matter of fact, hold on, we'll look this up.
Make you still feel better.
Well, no, we do know that dinosaurs had osteosarcoma.
You're gonna say anything you can say to make yourself feel better. That's fine. Do you realize?
Wait. Do you not think dinosaurs had? Do you not think dinosaurs had cancer?
Do you not think the fall was before dinosaurs?
Did humans and dinosaurs exist at the same time?
Yes, the Bible speaks of it.
Oh, so if dinosaurs and humans existed, hold
on.
on. If humans and dinosaurs existed at the same time, why do we not see humans in the fossil record with dinosaurs?
They're there.
Where?
They're in the. You got to study though.
So you're saying that humans and dinosaurs are in the same fossil record?
Right.
Yeah, show me where. Do you have a source? Give me a source, I'll Google it.
I don't.
Oh, you don't. So it's just vibes. You just got trust me bros and vibes.
I know it is. I'm telling you, when you die, you're gonna find out for real. I hope that
I won't, because God doesn't exist, turns out. Well, don't pray for me. That's
I'm telling you,
goofy.
you think so?
Why are you going to
I'm
pray for
going to.
somebody? It's
I'm
goofy
going
as
to.
fuck.
Because I know what happens when you die. I know what happens when you take your last breath. When you take your
You
last breath,
haven't
you're gonna
taken
find
your
out what's
last
in the
breath. Like, I'm sorry to tell you, you didn't
Not yet.
you didn't die.
I did.
You
I
didn't have
know
an out
because
of body
God allowed me
experience.
to
Like
come
you're
back.
just
I did.
suffering from Stockholm
Right.
syndrome.
That's what you think. Anything to make you feel better, man. That
Like
makes you feel better.
Christianity
you.
is the beast and you're Belle. And they've been
Change
singing "Be
yourself.
Our Guest" for like the last 20 years that you've been a Christian. You've just been listening to
So what do
"Be
you
Our
think?
Guest"
What do you
repeatedly,
think
repeatedly,
happens when you die?
repeatedly.
Tell me what happens when you die. What do you think happens? You just don't exist anymore?
I imagine it's a lot like before you were born. You just don't remember. It's just nothing.
Okay. Well, I'm telling you, I'm just. You're gonna find out.
I
Okay.
mean, I
I
won't. I
appreciate
won't.
I'm telling you, will.
Do you have any?
I
Do
pray
you
for
have
you. I
any?
pray for
Do
all
you
your
wanna?
listeners.
Do you want to read some other things?
And I don't have. I'm in the dark in here, and my house. My little
You
girl,
you are in the dark.
quiet.
Yes, you are. You are in the
Yeah.
dark.
Yeah.
You haven't read the book, have
You
you?
are in the dark.
You've never read the book,
I've
have
read the
you?
book. Yes.
What's your view on slavery?
Democrats are evil. My view.
Oh, I'm talking about biblical slavery. You know God commanded it, right?
You know, God said it's not right for one man to own another man, right?
No, he didn't. Where did he say that?
Jeremiah 3.
Jeremiah 3?
I don't know the verse off the top of my head. I don't know the verse off the top of my head, but I'm telling you, it's we live in a fallen world. We messed up.
Oh, but why did God command slavery?
Just like people in jail today for not for no reason. It's because
But God commanded it. Oh, slavery wasn't done for committing crimes.
Wasn't? I'm telling you, we live in a fallen world.
Mm-hmm.
You want to try to placate anything you can to make yourself feel better. That's fine. But I'm telling you, when you take your last breath, you're going to find out.
Well, you keep saying that, but that would require like something
that.
coming from somebody who's actually had an out-of-body experience, and we've already discussed this. You haven't. You're just delusional.
I'm telling you, I know what you're delusional. I'm sorry, bud. I'm telling you, I was dead. I was looking at myself on the ground. I said, "Look, man, dude." I told myself, "You're dead." I looked up on the road. I saw my friend's bike in the road. His car, he stopped.
Well, I know you keep saying that. I know you keep saying that. Would you? Should we expect any scientific errors in the Bible?
Scientific errors.
Yeah, like for example, when we go into Leviticus, and when we go to Leviticus chapter 11, verses 5 through 6, it says, "The rock badger, for even though it chews the cud, it does not have divided hooves, it is unclean for you. The hare, even though it chews the cud, it does not have divided hooves, it is unclean for you." The issue with this is, and this is coming from God, God is telling this to Moses, the issue is neither of these animals chew cud. Why did God...
That's Old Testament. That Christ came to.
Oh, I don't care if it's the Old Testament. Do you believe God and Jesus are the same? Do you believe Jesus is God?
Without a doubt.
Yeah, so why did Jesus tell Moses, "The rock badger, for even though it chews the cud, it does not have divided hooves, it is unclean for you. The hare, for even though it chews the cud, it does not have divided hooves, it is unclean for you." Why did Jesus tell this to Moses?
And you're trying to parse out these little stuff in the Old Testament, New Testament.
It's a scientific error. Surely Jesus, who is all-knowing, knows that neither rock badgers nor rabbits chew cud. Surely he knows that. He created them.
It's logical knowledge to debate with you on scripture and verse. I don't have a Bible.
Well, no, you just don't know the scripture, and you're showing you don't know the scripture, and you're trying to run from it. You're scared of it. I'd be scared of it too. Look, if I hadn't read the book, I'd be scared of it too.
You're gonna be real scared. You're gonna be real scared, son. I promise you.
Well, that's all Christians got. That's all Christians got are threats in the afterlife. Threats
That's
in the
all I need.
afterlife.
I'm
Look,
telling you.
look, I
Take
come
your
up
last
here
breath, you're gonna find
every
out.
day. I come up here almost every day telling Christians why they're wrong. I freaking have a picture of Jesus with monster cans for a body being crucified, for crying out loud.
It says you are the son of the devil. That's what it is. I
I'm
don't
not
think
a
you
son of a
you,
devil. The devil would need to
you are.
exist for that to be. The
Yeah.
devil would need to exist.
That
But hey,
it's,
listen, I'm
it's
gonna let you
Dracula.
go. I'm gonna go ahead and move on.
Yeah.
But you've got me some amazing clips. I appreciate it. But hey, you have a fantastic evening.
You too,
And
bud.
real
See
quick,
you
real
anytime.
quick, real quick, before I let you go, you've been patient. I know I've been a little harsh. I'm gonna give you like a full 5 minutes. Go ahead and let chat know. Right now, there are 230 people watching on YouTube. There is right now 107 on TikTok. They can all hear you. Go ahead and give them a final message. I'll mute myself.
Thank you. I'm telling you like I know that I know.
They always fall for it. They always think I'm actually going to let them do it. It's ridiculous. But hey, we're going to go ahead and move on to Andre over here on Video Ninja as well. How you doing, Andre?
Hello. Hey,
Hello.
I'm doing good. How are you doing? Hey,
I
do you
am
hear me?
fantastic. I can hear you. Can I get your age?
35.
All right, and are you a Christian?
Yeah, I am a Christian. I actually became a Christian like about 2 years ago. Well,
So
kind of reverted,
listen,
I would
listen,
say. So,
listen.
yeah.
It's not. Hold on. I'm gonna help you out here. Okay, look.
Yeah, sure.
This is my Bible. This. Oh, you can't see it. Hold on.
Yeah,
Let me
hold
share
on.
my screen with you.
I'll tune in on the like probably because it's like a slightly delay from the YouTube.
Oh, if
It's
you're
not
watching it on
super
the
comfortable
YouTube,
to watch.
if you're seeing it on the YouTube, you'll see it. This is my Bible.
Yeah, okay.
This is my study Bible, right? This thing survived college with me, right? And because I took additional Mormon courses, it's the Mormon scripture. Look, all you need to do, literally, all you need to do, it's not too late. It's not too late. Just rip it. Just take your Bible and you see these pages, just get rid of them. You don't need them. Like, they're not necessary. Just get rid of them. It's
Okay.
not too late. You've only been in 2 years. Get rid of the Bible. But question is,
Okay, so what are you trying to prove with that?
so what is your strongest argument for Christianity being true?
Prophecies?
Nick, can you name one that Jesus actually fulfilled?
No, open like that Bible you have. Do you have wisdom
I just
too?
ripped it. I don't have it anymore. I just ripped the prophecies out, but I do have it online.
Okay,
So,
so you go to Wisdom 2, verse 11, and you
which one?
explain to me how that
Which verse?
Wisdom 2, verse 11.
Wisdom of Sirach?
Yeah, Wisdom of Solomon.
Oh, Solomon?
I think like this one is like pretty much like one of the most obvious ones.
Hold up. All
Yeah,
right.
just like I don't know. Like, look, it's like I said, 2 years, right? So I don't know scriptures by heart, but some of
Okay.
them do convince me. I think
Oh,
verse 11.
you realize that Wisdom of Solomon is apocryphal, right? It's not even
Yeah.
canon.
What do you mean? Wait. What does it mean?
It's not in the Bible. It's apocryphal.
Oh, do you know early Christians were quoting it all the time, and they quoted it as the scriptures?
Yeah, can you show me? Oh, hold on. Are you Catholic?
I'm Orthodox and Catholic. Yeah.
Oh, okay, that would make sense then. Yeah. So where do you want me to go in here?
So hold on to 73.
Yeah. So that makes sense. Where do you want me to go here? Which chapter?
Yeah. I think Wisdom 2, verse 11. I'm just trying to.
Error of the wicked?
Yeah.
But let our
Verse
might
11.
be
Like it
our
starts
law
with let
of
us lie in
right.
wait. Yeah, okay. Wisdom 2, 12. Like let us lie in wait for the righteous one.
For the righteous man, because he is inconvenient to us and opposes our actions. He reproaches us for sin against the law and accuses of sins against our training. So let's read this in things, right? So what do you think this is about?
Yeah, keep going.
Well, what?
I think this
Oh,
one
excuse me.
clearly describes Jesus.
So it's about the desires of the wicked as they reject
Going on over
God.
here. No, you just go ahead, like
Yeah, so if you start at the beginning, it will. So it says, "For they reason unsoundly." Hold on, listen. Shh. For they reason unsoundly. So this is verse 1. Saying to themselves, "Short and sorrowful is our." Hold on, we gotta read it. Gotta take it into context. I don't just go to one verse. That's ridiculous. That's taking things out of context. And Bad Religion, thank you so much for the 3-month members or subscription on TikTok. I appreciate it. We were born by mere chance. When it is extinguished, the body will turn to ashes and the spirit will dissolve like empty air. So this is what the wicked are saying. Our name will be forgotten in time and no one will remember our works. 5, for our allotted time is the passing of a shadow. There is no return from our death because it is sealed up and no one turns back. 6, come therefore, let us enjoy good things that exist. Verse 9, let no meadow be free from our revelry. Everywhere let us leave signs of enjoyment because is our portion this lot. Verse 10, let us oppress the righteous poor man. Let us not spare the widow or regard the gray hairs of the aged. Is this part talking about Jesus?
It sounds like you, right? No, that
No.
sounds like you,
Hold
right?
on.
That
It
sounds
says,
like what you would say.
listen. It says, let us oppress the righteous poor man. Is the righteous poor man, is that supposed to be Jesus?
It starts from verse 12 when they
that's not what I
start
asked.
talking
Hold
about
on.
Jesus.
Hold on.
So it is showing.
Hold on. Let's repeat this again. I'll repeat it one more time. Right in verse 10, because verse
Yeah, it's
12
okay, man.
talks
Like,
about.
it's
Hold
just
on.
like I have some
Hold on.
issues with
Listen.
you singing on
Listen.
YouTube.
If you can't listen if you're talking. Verse 12 mentions, "Let us lie in wait for the righteous man." Right, but verse
Yeah.
10 also mentions, "Let us oppress the righteous man." So is this the same
That is
righteous
correct,
man?
yes.
Okay, and then it says, "Let us not spare
So
the
the story,
widow."
when you
Hold
read
on.
it
Listen.
goes like-
Shh. Let us not spare the widow
Man, this is the
or
first time
regard.
you see that thing, right?
Shh. Let me finish. Or regard the gray hairs of the aged, but let our law of right for what is weak prove itself to be useless. So if this is the same guy and it's mentioning the widow, right, because we're going to oppress the righteous man, he's leaving a widow. Was Jesus married?
No.
Oh, okay. So the righteous man was married. Jesus wasn't married. So we've got that right out. Let us lie in wait for the righteous man because he is inconvenient to us and oppresses our actions. He reproaches us for sin against the law and accuses us of sins against our training. So when Jesus here is saying he reproaches us for sins against the law, what is your view of the old law? What's your view of the old law? Is the old law still in place?
Well, Jesus came to fulfill it, right, and give us the new law.
Oh, so it's not Jesus because this is talking about the law, which is the Torah. So this is talking about the Torah. So this can't be Jesus, right? This can't be Jesus. He professes to have knowledge of God and calls himself a child of the Lord. He became to us reproof of our thoughts. The very sight of him is a burden to us because his manner of life is unlike that of others, and his ways are strange. We are considered by him as something base, and he avoids our ways as unclean. He calls the last end of the righteous happy and boasts that God is his Father. Let us see if his words are true, and let us test what happened to the end of his life. For if the righteous man is God's child, he will help him and will deliver him from the hands of his adversaries. Let us test him with insult and torture, so that we may find out how reasonable he is, and make a trial of his forbearance. Let us condemn him to a shameful death, for according to what he says, he will be protected. So the issues that I'm going to have with this is it just seems like it's not Jesus, right? There's some things that are parallels there, but there's some things that are glaringly not Jesus.
It seems like this whole thing was written almost like after the Jesus dead, right? Well, like let's backtrack. Like, do you recognize that Jesus existed, right?
No, I'm a mythicist. I don't believe Jesus existed. Good try though.
Oh,
And
right.
do you know when Wisdom of Solomon was written and why it's considered apocryphal?
Well, it's about like 100 years BC or something like this. I understand why it is
Oh,
considered
so
apocryphal
Solomon
by
did
somebody.
did Solomon write these?
No,
Oh, so Solomon didn't
he
write
claimed
them.
it. No, it's just called Wisdom of Solomon.
Uh-huh.
It's not
And
because
it was
Solomon written it. I can't say that it's of some known origin, but it's sure, like it's actually been written not really long before Jesus' arrival. It actually fulfills those 400 years that Protestants say that was a quote that there was silent and no prophets
yeah,
were
it's
on earth.
dated to about your eyes dated to about 50 years before Christ, right? Dated to
Hmm.
about 50 years before Christ, right?
Yeah.
But it's not written by Solomon, which is why it's apocryphal, which is why nobody accepts it. But that's when it's guessed. I'm fairly certain if we were run to stilometry on this, I'm fairly certain we'd see that it was probably dated, probably a little closer. But let's keep reading because it sounds like they're going to go here. But then it'll say, for thus they reasoned, but they were led astray, for their wickedness blinded them, and they did not know the secret purpose of God, nor hoped for the wages of holiness, nor discernment for prizes for blameless souls. For God created us for incorruption, and he made us in the image of his own eternity, but through an adversary's envy, death entered the world, and those who belonged to his company experienced it. Right?
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
So like this whole wisdom too, like this verse is speaking like from the perspective of Pharisees, or at least somebody who is of a similar mind, like that. Like actually sounds a little bit like you as well, uh, of the people who don't believe in Jesus, and like that's why, like, I'm just saying that no matter how when it was written, if it's not written before Jesus' arrival, it's a clear indication to what to about the Jesus's life, or at least like by the claims of Jesus's life, right? It sounds almost like it's been written after the Gospels.
Wait, say that one more time.
So it sounds like it's almost been written after the Gospels were written, right?
Wait, what about the Gospels?
The Gospels were written, and it's kind of like describes all this account of this, like, let us lie in wait until all the way until the humiliating death. So it's pretty much just describes the prophecy, like describes the gospel.
You're saying this describes the Gospel?
Well, it sounds like it is,
No,
unless
it just sounds like it has some things that parallel for it, but no, it's simply not.
so I tell you what, like when I read this thing, and I read it after I read the Gospels, I was like, this verse was written after the Gospels were written. So okay, let's kind of move on. This is like one of those prophecies. Then, like, I suppose we should not go for other ones. And since you are Jesus mythister, right? Uh, so you don't agree that Jesus existed at all?
No, because what this is about, right? So when we're talking about, so do you know what's going on? If this is written in the 1st century BCE, do you know what's happening at the time to the Jewish people?
I suppose the persecution and the occupation.
Yeah, they're being occupied by the Greeks, right? Well, they're just ending their occupation, but they're still being Hellenized, right? And so this righteous person is the Jewish people, right? This is just talking about the Jewish people. And so when it says, let us lie in wait for the righteous man, this is talking about the Jewish people, right? And this is just them saying that that the righteous man, being Israel, is God's child. We can go look at Exodus 4, where, gosh dang it, we can go look at
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exodus
That's how
4.
like
Hold on,
the
hold on. Let
Jews
me
would
finish. We
interpret
can go to
the
Exodus
scripture.
4, where God calls Israel his firstborn child, right? And so
Yep.
the righteous man is saying, we're the Jewish people, we are God's children, right? And it's saying that
Yeah.
God will deliver us from the adversaries, right? So this isn't about Jesus, this is about Israel. It's not Jesus, it's Israel.
Yeah. Then, according to the gospel, what did the Jesus got crucified for?
Oh, I don't care what Jesus got crucified for. This is even worse than Isaiah 53. Like this is worse than Isaiah 53. This is like the worst thing you could use. This is clearly about the Jewish people. Let us test him with insult and torture so that we may find out how reasonable he is. There were Jews who didn't want to convert. Like, in fact, there was a whole Maccabean war fought because Jews refused to convert.
Yeah, so like that clearly the wisdom is that wisdom too is showing that it's from perspective of those people who will be denying the Jesus as the Son of God, and like it's clearly saying that they let us test him, right? Like let us test him and see if the God will
Oh, I draw
deliver
that
him,
parallel
and that's
too. If I was a
exactly what the
Christian,
gospel did.
well, no, it's well, no. What you need to remember, one of the reasons why I'm a mythicist, right? One of the big reasons why I'm a mythicist
Hmm.
is because it is the case that when we look at the Gospels, right? Do you know what stellometry is? Are you familiar with stellometry?
I'm not sure, but
So
enlighten me,
stellometry
please.
is a type. Yeah, so stellometry is a type of data science. If you want to learn about it, this is my friend's book. It's called Christ Before Jesus. It talks about. It's called Christ Before Jesus because it talks about how there was a mythological figure named Jesus who became humanized, right? Which is par Hellenistic mythology. When you look at Greco-Roman mythology, all Greco-Roman mythology is about people that are high in stature and they need to be humbled. And once they're humbled, they gain their stature back. So they have to do a side quest to gain their stature back. When you read Jewish mythology, we're talking about Moses, David, Jacob, Samson, anybody that is a Jewish hero, they all start out poor. They're all slaves, farmers, shepherds. They're all poor, and then they gain status.
Yeah,
Jesus
like a
falls
classic
with
hero journey.
right. Jesus falls within Greco-Roman mythology. Jesus is a son of God who had to come down to a humbling phase to achieve his status again, right? And when we look at stellometry is how we date and find authorship. And when we
Not
run
really. Like,
stellometry,
look,
hold on. When we
okay.
run stellometry on the Gospels, we find that they're dated to the mid 2nd century. Turns out that Polycarp was probably Luke. Polycarp probably wrote Luke and Acts based off of Marcion. Polycarp was also probably the author who wrote the pastorals in the Pauline letters, right? So if we place the Gospels in the mid 2nd century, it's extremely easy to look back at past texts. And as we're crafting this narrative about this Jesus figure, it's really easy to look at these awesome stories from the past and say, hey, let's look at this. It's one of the reasons why when you go look at what Jesus says, go look at Wisdom Ben Sirach. Right, go look at Ben Sirach, and you'll find that a lot of quotes that Jesus says comes right out of Ben Sirach. It gets out of Sirach. Jesus didn't say it. In fact, Ben Sirach's name was Jesus Ben Sirach. So Jesus was probably named after Ben Sirach. It's not hard. It's not rocket science, my dude.
Like let me just like come in like it looks like you just chose to believe that book that you're referring to, and yes, like I understand your perspective, but like you sound like I'll go to, let's say, for Josephus and Titus, like the guys who were actually
What does
in the
Josephus say
history
about
were
Jesus?
witnesses
What does Josephus say about Jesus?
that he is like a miracle worker, that he's like a sorcerer or something like this, like that.
Do you know
Or
what an
that's what
that's
people
not what
talk
he
about.
said. Wait, that's not what Josephus says. Wait, what? What? Hold on. Because I actually got this. Do you know what the name of the book it's in? Do you know what the name of the writings is?
Well, I'm not sure what the name of the writing is right now of the
It's in
cup.
Antiquities of the Jews. So you're looking at Antiquities of the Jews, book 18, chapter 5, I believe. And what you're going to be looking at, I'll bring this up for chat to see. So what you are going to be looking at, I don't know why I tried to open up my window there. We will, do I have my Tacitus still open here? We'll just open up another link. We'll do window capture. We'll do okay, and we will right here. So it's going to be this right here. Now I will open it up so you guys can see it. Now what it is you'll see there's 3 paragraphs that are highlighted. Paragraph 2, 3, and 4. Now paragraph 2 is talking about how Pilate had diverted water that was going to the temple, had diverted water in Jerusalem using money from the temple. And the Jews didn't like it. And so the Jews started throwing reproaches at him. And he goes on to state how he told his men to dress up as civilians and put daggers in their cloaks. And if he went out and if they threw reproaches at him, he was going to give them a signal and the soldiers were to take care of the riot. And it talks about how the soldiers definitely took care of the riot. They also unalived and injured anybody that was present, whether they were part of the riot or not. Right, so that's what the first paragraph is about. Now, the third paragraph, paragraph number 4, starts out with, about that same time, also another sad calamity put the Jews in disorder. Right, so we have these 2 paragraphs that flow nicely together. However, the question is paragraph 3. Paragraph 3, which is what you're referring to as, it's called the Testimonium Flavianum. Now, it starts out saying, about that same time, there was about that time Jesus, a wise man, if it be lawful to call him such, call him a man, for he was a doer of wonderful works. Do you notice how we have a sudden narrative shift here? Right? And it doesn't flow. Josephus was a practicing Jew. He never would have referred to Jesus like this. And it also turns out that historians had long before stilometry had long been thinking that is what's called an interpolation. Do you know what an interpolation is?
Yeah.
What's an interpolation?
So they translated it the way that is convenient.
I said interpolation, not interpretation. Do you know what an interpolation is?
Interpolation is like another version of it.
No. So back in the day, they had to copy things by hand because there wasn't a printing press. And so an interpolation is when I am copying a manuscript and I decide I want to write something in it. So I add to it.
Right.
Interpolations are added to. And we know who wrote that. Eusebius, the early church, not the Catholic historian, that's wrong. The early church historian, Eusebius, he's the one who interpolated that, and we know it's him because that's how he writes. And Eusebius, turns out, is also the first one to reference that passage. He's the first church historian, first church anybody, to reference that. And he says, let us make use of the Jew Josephus. And then he quotes it. Now, the reason why this is problematic is there were 4 other church fathers before Eusebius who quoted Book 18 of Antiquities of the Jews. That same book. They quoted that same book. But they did it for John the Baptist because they were showing that John the Baptist existed. However, not a single one of them quotes the Testimonium. Not a single one of them. And that tells us that not only was it not there when they were looking at it, or else they would have quoted it, because I think Jesus is much more important to prove than John the Baptist. But second, Eusebius, first one to mention it, but third, when we introduce stellometry into it, we know that Eusebius wrote it. Josephus never wrote those words.
All right. So like anybody who agrees with you, because like as from what I saw, like all the Bart Ehrman says that Jesus existed. Like
I don't care what Bart Ehrman says. Does Bart Ehrman accept the Testimonium? No, he doesn't accept it.
Well, like he's not Christian, and like I suppose like a lot of other guys. I'm not like, I haven't dove into it, but I kind of trust the consensus.
I could give 2 flying fucks what historians think. What evidence do they look at? What evidence are they looking at?
Okay,
do you know what evidence they look at?
Pretty much, that's what you're saying is like you're arguing your opinion, not your.
Hold on, real quick. So here's what I'm saying right now, and for everybody watching, this is something that I like to point out. I was actually talking with Jaron about this the other day. So I have 154 people on YouTube. We have 96 people on TikTok. So here's a monster can, right? I got a monster can. We all know it's a monster can. We got a monster can. Now, that's one piece of evidence. However, I have over 200 people who saw that one piece of evidence. Now, all of you will say Cyber held a monster can, right? But that's one piece of evidence, right? So when we look at what these historians talk about, yeah, it's amazing when you got a bunch of historians looking at the same piece of evidence and they say, yep, that's the same piece of evidence, but they're basing things off of the same piece of evidence. They're not looking at different evidences, right? So what's important is the evidence. So when early historians had already said, hey, that writing from Josephus, the interpolation, hey, that was legit, because they didn't understand, they didn't know at the time that it was an interpolation. And then later on, other historians are just taking a consensus and going, oh, they believe it, so I'm going to believe it, right? That's the issue that we run into. This is why, like, when it comes to these new sciences like stellometry, it's why it's so important, because stellometry is able to show us that, hey, this isn't the case. In fact, stellometry has shown us there are some historians, there are some people who look at Shakespeare's writings, and they are under the impression that Shakespeare may not have written all of his works. Some people believe that Shakespeare might not even be real. There are historians who think Shakespeare never existed, that Shakespeare was like a pen name, and that even whoever has this pen name of Shakespeare didn't write them all, that there was somebody else who wrote some of his works. Turns out that when we run stellometry on Shakespeare, Shakespeare pops up as one author. Shakespeare is Shakespeare. Shakespeare exists. Shakespeare didn't have a helper. He wrote it himself. Right. So yeah, so where I'm getting at though is this passage is clearly about Israel. It's not about Jesus, it's about Israel. It's the same argument that we get when it comes to Isaiah 53. It's just Israel. It's not Jesus, but it's really easy for people writing, even if I grant you Jesus existed, right? Let's say I grant that. It's easy for people who were duped by Jesus, who was an apocalyptic preacher, who was preaching that the end was near, that he was going to be coming back within 40 years, that some of his disciples would not have died before he came back, that they would not have visited every town in Israel before he came back. We get the story of the rich man coming to him and saying, hey, I am following all these laws. What else do I need to do? And he calls the rich man to poverty. When you have a man who is calling people to poverty and then he lies to them and doesn't come back. Yeah, if I was one of his followers, if I was one of his inner circle, if I was one of the 12 or one of the 11, yeah, you damn right, I'm going to go dig in any book I can find and be like, oh, it's spiritual. Because I don't want to be prosecuted by these people for frauding them out of their money. I don't want to be unalived because the man that I thought was going to come back, that I thought was telling the truth, made promises to them, and now his ass is dead and he can't bounce the check anymore because his ass is dead and he didn't come back after 40 years. Yeah, I'd be digging and reaching and pulling out anything I can to make an excuse for why the story now needs to be spiritual and why it's not a physical kingdom, it's a spiritual kingdom now.
You understand that there is about like 10 different messianic movements around that time as well, right? But only one picked up.
There's no evidence of that.
And the fact that
there's no evidence of that.
Temple got
Christians.
The temple got destroyed because of the one of those messianic movements.
Well, no, the temple, because of Daniel, because of a writing in Daniel, yeah, the Jews were expecting the temple to be destroyed, which is why, like, the temple being destroyed isn't like this thing. It was kind of expected, right? But no, there wasn't like these big like messianic movements.
Daniel, right?
Huh?
The prophecy in Daniel, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, so
Right.
the Jews were expecting a temple to be destroyed, like it was expected.
Yeah, they were expecting the Messiah to appear around the time, and that's why.
No, not around that time. No, it's the case that that's how Rome was. When you not only do they have Daniel, but they also know how the Roman Empire is. The Roman Empire would do stuff like that. Like it was just expected.
Right. So, what about the other ones? Like we have Saint Ignatius of Antioch, who claims to be a follower of Apostle John. It seems like if Jesus wouldn't exist,
Hold on.
Just...
Who claimed to be the apostle or the follower of John? Who was it? It wasn't Ignatius. It wasn't Ignatius.
You know how...
If you were Orthodox, you were a horrible Orthodox. It wasn't Ignatius. Who was it? Who did Ignatius train under?
Ignatius was the disciple of the Apostle of John. Yes.
Ignatius was not. It was Polycarp. It was Polycarp. Ignatius trained under Polycarp.
What?
But,
Saint Ignatius of Antioch of the Polycarp?
Yeah, he trained under Polycarp. Huh? Look it up. Ignatius trained under Polycarp. Polycarp supposedly trained under John, but Polycarp never made that claim. The funny thing is, Polycarp never made that claim. Polycarp never wrote about it. In Polycarp's eulogy, it never mentions it. Ignatius is the one who mentioned, hey, Polycarp, the guy I trained under John. But Ignatius also believed that Jesus lived to be 50. He argued for Jesus being 50, given the age of, because he believed that Jesus needed to be a priest, and in order to be a priest, there's some age concerns that are brought up, that are mentioned when it comes to the Torah, and some things that are brought up in the Gospels. And so Ignatius had this whole argument for why Jesus had to be at, or anywhere from like 35 to 50, aiming more towards the 50. So yeah, of course, when you're looking at like that age, yeah, of course Polycarp could have trained under John. But if Jesus only lived to be 33, it didn't happen. It's not possible. The ages wouldn't have matched up. So yeah, Ignatius is out. This is one reason why apostolic tradition is stupid.
Right. No, you got your point. That's interesting. Like I haven't dived so much into it. But
Look, one does not get a degree in this stuff and not study these things. But how did you not? You're Orthodox. How do you not study these things?
Well, like I kind of wasn't interested in the Bible until certain
I can tell.
things,
I can tell.
certain things happened.
It's
And I've
obvious.
been pretty much like yeah. So like you don't expect just a random scholar come into your stream, right? So like it's just amateurs over here. Oh yeah, like let's move on. Shroud of Turin.
Oh, look. The Shroud of Turin is my 9/11. Okay, I got that from Dr. Blitz for those out there. Shroud of Turin is freaking... Okay, Shroud of Turin, do you know when the Shroud of Turin is dated to?
It's dated from the patch that was dated to 1300s.
They didn't date the patch. They
And,
dated...
okay.
hold on. Dating the patch is just an apologetic. They didn't just date the patch. That'd be a mistake to date the patch because we knew it was dated. So they dated the actual material. It dated to the 1300s. Not only did it date to the 1300s, but do you know what kind of weave the Shroud of Turin has? Not the patches, but the Shroud of Turin itself. Do you know what kind of weaves it has?
Like the linen?
The weave of the linen. It's called the 3-in-1 chevron weave. The 3-in-1 chevron weave came to be in the 1100s. We have no evidence of it existing before the 1100s. Also, it utilizes a special loom that we have no evidence of in Judea. It does. We have no evidence of it in Judea. Second, when we look at how blood
shroud of the Masada, and it's the same kind of weave.
We have
the
what?
Same kind of material. The Shroud of Masada, to compare to it.
Shroud of Masada?
Yeah.
Hold on, let's take a look at this.
I think like if we want to keep it like with the entertainment value, right? Like you should probably like just continue the conversation going, and like keep on tearing the Bible and stuff like that. But if we look into it, like how did the image came onto the shroud?
Wait, what about the image? Are you talking about the 2022 study?
The 2022 proved it dated it towards the dated as 2,000 years old piece, right?
Wait, say that again.
The 2022 studied it to 2,000 years ago, right?
The 20. So the issue they're going to run into. Oh yeah. So the issue they're going to run into is, so in the 80s they did a carbon dating, which
Carbon
dated to the 1300s. In the 2014, they did a study to say that there was blood on it. However, the study had to be redacted because the people who did the study, when it was getting peer reviewed, the people peer reviewing it, because part of the peer review process is they look at your scientific method and they look at how you did it, and they found flaws in how they did it.
Same
And
as
when
the
they
same as the carbon dating.
No, the carbon dating had no issues. And so then when they
The one in
went
Britain
back,
was concealed.
huh?
The one that coming from the library in Britain, they concealed the raw data until like recently, when they had to get the raw data and realized that the methodology used for it was highly flawed as well, right?
No, they didn't. So in 2022, they did another study. Now, the issue is this study in 2022, which was the X-ray study. First of all, the X-ray study has never been done before, and it hasn't been done since. It's never been done since. Two of the scientists that partook in the that did the study for the X-ray in 2022. Again, two of them were in the 2014 study, which just shows the bias. These two scientists are doing whatever they can to make the Shroud of Turin be authentic. But the issue is, by doing this other study, they had to admit, right? Because this goes contradictory to their other study. Because also one of the studies, and the 2014 study, is blood doesn't react the way it does. Blood doesn't do easy lines like it does. It leaves blots. And that was something they brought up. They're like, this isn't how blood reacts. This isn't blood. And so when they were doing their 2022 study, now they came up with oh, you're right. It's not blood. It's radiation that did this, right? Radiation did this. So they've had to change their stance. So the question is, which study are they standing by? Are they standing by their 2014 study in which they said it was blood? Or are they standing by the 2022 study in which they say it's not blood, but it's radiation that did this? Which is it? Which one is it?
Like any study that could actually describe how the image came to be, but so far I haven't seen a conclusive evidence of somebody actually being able to explain how the image came onto the shroud.
It's artwork.
And let's say
it's artwork. As a matter of fact, Dan McClellan,
okay.
go watch Dan McClellan. He's on YouTube. Dan McClellan, type in Dan McClellan's Shroud of Turin. They know how he did it. They know how it was done. There's a guy who does it and sells replicas of it. And he does it using time period evidences.
You're just pulling. There's no way you're actually referring to that. Like what you're doing is, the guy who does it clearly can be forensically proven that it's a forgery, when this one cannot be replicated unless there's something that somebody just time travel from, like, not today but from the future, because today they cannot really replicate it, because whatever today is just a joke compared to whatever the
Hey,
shroud
go talk to Dan McClellan, who has a whole video over it, and they talk about how it's done and how it replicates it. Huh?
No, I'm just writing down, like, because you're telling us certain things that I'm not aware of, and I'm writing it down to take a deeper dives. Dan McClellan, just to see if it's convincing enough.
Yeah, and the other issue is do you believe that Jesus had one arm bigger than the other?
I never had that theological conclusion. Probably
yeah.
not.
So
I don't know.
Are you able to see this on YouTube?
On the YouTube, yep.
Okay.
It takes a little bit of couple of seconds.
Yeah. I know YouTube's behind. So in this thing, one reason why we know that it's art is because Jesus has one arm that is bigger than the other to cover his junk. So we'll make this. So if you look
we
there,
don't know that it's art. It has the 3D information.
you will, because you'll see
containing
where.
inside of
Well,
it.
hold on. You'll see where it's grabbing. As a matter of fact, I'll make that bigger so we can just make sure that people see. So when you look there, right, he's grabbing his hand at the wrist, right? So if he's grabbing it, let me turn my camera off real quick. So you'll see when we look. Oh. When we look here, you'll see that we have a straight line. So there's no like slouching shoulders or anything. But then when we get to his junk, you'll see where he's grabbing his wrist to cover the junk. His left hand, his left arm is bigger, and you'll see here where the elbows are at, there's a straight line that can be drawn across. He has one arm bigger than the other. It's like how we know it's art. We know that it's art. And
what
do
you're
you
showing
know?
right now, right?
Yeah, that's a Shroud of Turin.
Yeah. Like I know how Shroud of Turin looks like, and I see that like
Yeah.
one arm is just covering the other.
Hold on. Yeah. We'll get this brought back up. Right.
Right. He was like.
So
not
if you
laying
look
flat
here,
in
so
it.
right, look here, and you'll see it where I'm pointing to it. He's grabbing his wrist. So if he straightened out the hand that's on top, right? If you straighten that out, you'll see the fingers aren't the same size, right? This hand right here is clearly bigger than this hand, right? So his right arm, this arm, is shorter than this arm.
Yeah. It just
It's
doesn't look like it's
shorter.
covering the junk.
It is
looks
covering
like-
his junk. It is covering his junk. Look, they extended it to cover his junk.
Okay, like I would agree to disagree.
I mean, you
on
can
this
agree to
one.
disagree, but they cover in his penis because they didn't want to
Okay,
show
so
a penis.
like about the negative, like you know how it is looking like that in negative.
Yeah, when you take a picture of something,
it's
you
just-
on film you get a negative. Yes,
Yeah,
you,
so
I
it's like
can
a
do
happy
that with
coincidence,
anything,
right?
huh?
Like you can show me an artwork from like let's say 1300s that have the same kind of principle. That the person who did this artwork was like if it is an artwork, is like a genius masterpiece, and he did it like one-off work and never like came up with it, right?
No, it's literally. Do you know what a photo negative is?
Yeah, I know what is photo negative.
Yeah. So hold on. So
It's like the details on that artwork only can be visible as like this all these how to say bruises and cuts on the body can be only seen with a naked eye if you looking at it through the negative imaging, right?
Yeah, that's how it is in any picture. Like you know what the Mona Lisa looks like, right?
I can imagine, yeah.
Okay, so hold on. So I'm gonna show you the Mona Lisa. Get this brought up real quick. And we can agree, and what I'm going to show you is that when we look on things on pictures and then we compare them to negatives, that we get a clear distinction between the two. They look different, right? So here we'll bring up the Mona Lisa here. Make that a little bit smaller. So here we have the Mona Lisa. We can agree that this is the Mona Lisa, right? Right, that's the Mona Lisa, right?
Yeah. Okay. It's so trippy to see you on YouTube, like, and hearing completely different things coming into my ear.
Yeah. That's fine. Now we'll bring up the negative of the Mona Lisa.
Okay, get it.
Let me move it over though. So when we look at these, there are things there are details that are going to pop out, right? So for example, she looked like one of them old milk ads, right? So there's details that get brought out. Like, look at the work that is done in the dress, right? That you just don't notice, right? There's things that are done that you just don't notice.
Yeah, but is it intentional or not?
Huh?
'Cause,
It's just how
in
film
Mona Lisa,
no.
this thing
It's
could be
just
like-
how film hold on. It's just how film negatives work. Because film negatives, you use color filters and depending on the type of film, is going to do different things. So I can distort things depending on what type of film I use, right? So that's the issue when people say, look at the film, is because I can go on, like, if you ever get a chance, follow a person named Hasselblad. He does a lot of flat earth debates, but he's a professional photographer, and you'll hear him talk about this a lot. But like I said, look at how literally she looks like she's been drinking milk. And when we go and we look at the actual picture, there we go. You don't even notice it in the original picture. You don't even notice it in the... Let me get that moved over for you all. But you don't even notice it in the original picture, right? You don't notice the detail work in the dress. Not because the detail work's like intentional or anything. It's just how film negatives work. So that's why I'm not impressed with the film negative.
About the Mona Lisa drinking milk. Like, do we have the description of like?
Oh yeah, yeah. So it is the case that the Mona Lisa, when she was caught in her painting, because she was trapped in a painting. Leonardo da Vinci didn't really paint her. She was trapped in the painting. And it is the case that she happened to be drinking milk, but we only know this because of film techniques. We can use film, and we can see that she was drinking milk before she got trapped in the painting.
Man, that sounds crazy. Like, no offense over here, but it sounds like that you just like kind of like making.
Oh, is this the first time?
Is
this the first time you've ever heard that the Mona Lisa that she got caught in the painting? Like, did you actually think like Leonardo da Vinci actually painted her? Like, I promise you, Leonardo DiCaprio didn't paint her. Yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio didn't paint her. She was literally caught in the painting.
Yeah, he didn't.
Leonardo
For sure,
DiCaprio.
Leonardo DiCaprio didn't paint Mona Lisa.
I'm glad you caught that. I'm glad you caught that. Glad you caught that. I was about to throw in a Titanic line in there. But no, it is the case though that when Leonardo da Vinci painted her, he had her posing there, and she just got done drinking milk, and he went and hit her with the canvas, and she got trapped in it.
cool. Like it's so cool that we got derailed to this thing, and then the conversation all of a
Well,
sudden
this is
became quite
how
respectful.
this is how like ridiculous like the Shroud of Turin is though. Like it's literally this ridiculous. I was able to show you how film brings things out, right? And so because
Yeah, I
film brings
understand.
things out that we don't notice in the actual thing itself doesn't make it any more special. It's just
But that's
film is able
that's
to
the
show it
question
to
of
us.
intention, right? Like who would have done the artwork that would be only noticed like 1,000 years later, or like 700, 500 years later, right? Like
No, 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 no,
that's
no, no.
that's the whole
That's the
idea.
mistake. No, 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 no. That's the mistake. It wasn't like artwork where somebody said in the future they're going to have this company called Kodak making these things that you can take pictures on, and we no longer have to paint them. Like that's not what was going on. It just is the case that people today know how film works, and they know that when things are taken on film, it makes things look different than they really do when you look at the actual item, because it's how light transverse or moves through the film, and different types of film you can get different effects, right?
I understand that, but like let's say the person who was doing the forgery of this Shroud of Turin, he would have the intention of these marks to be visible on the image, right? But the image was not visible, or you would argue that it just like faded with time and stopped being visible until the photography has been developed, and that's where we could see like pretty much what the
No, because the
original
shroud
was.
that's the thing is the Shroud of Turin is fake. It's not this ancient object, so there's no fading. Because as soon as so the Shroud of Turin, the Catholic Church initially went to investigate it to say it was a forgery, right? They tried to say it was a forgery. And then they
Yeah.
realized how popular it was, because it turns out the Shroud of Turin was found in France, and it was on the pilgrimage route during the Crusades. And the Catholic Church was like, "Oh, wait a minute! If we can convince people that are on their way to going to Jerusalem during the Crusades, and we can convince them that this is the cloth Jesus was wrapped in, if it can convert people." So the Catholic Church started to prop it up, and then they put it away, and they kept it. They tried to take care of it, right? So if you're trying to take care of it, like, why would we expect there to be fading and stuff? Like, there's not, but that
That's the
still doesn't
convenience
change.
story, man. Like the
Hold on,
Catholic
but
Church
that
doesn't change the miracle thing.
hold on, but that doesn't change the fact that even let's say it was faded, let's say it did fade, that doesn't change the fact that depending on the film that they use to take pictures of it can still pick up those fine details, and is still going to display the same thing, right? It's just it depends on the type of film, because there's different types of film that they can use to distort the image, right? It's just a film.
Right? But you can see it like in your negative with the iPhone, right? Pretty much with the image reverse. Like so, it's not
Wait,
the
say that
film.
again.
It's not like you can take the Shroud of Turin picture, you put it on your screen, let's say, and point with your iPhone in the image reverse, and you will see that it's not a distortion of the camera. You will just with your naked eye with the iPhone, you will see those items more clearly. You don't even have to. You don't even have to like drive to the Turin where it's kept to have that kind of effect. So it's not like a distortion of the film for sure. Because wait, you probably didn't know that as well. I think like we
Wait,
just
didn't know what?
like if you like you just showed me that image, right, of Shroud of Turin. Let's say
Mm-hmm.
if you pull it like this, the picture of it, and you point your like on your iPhone, you go and change the accessibility to or like to show the negative colors, you will see all these details just without without taking picture of it and going into the lab and see the negative. You can literally do this experiment with your iPhone. I mean, like, it's not gonna prove anything or whatever, but it's kind of like will remove this like film distortion argument out of out of question.
Well, no, it's just how film responds. Like
Correct. Yeah.
yeah. It's not unique. That's all I'm saying is it's not unique. It's nothing special, right? You could go take a picture. You could literally go and paint a picture that looks just like the Shroud of Turin. As a matter of fact, this guy who does the art, again, Dan McClellan, go watch his videos, and you take a picture of that, it'll look just like those do. Just like the Shroud of Turin does, because it's just a negative. If you know exactly what camera they used, and you dial in whatever camera you have, you buy the same camera they used, you use the same film, and you dial it in just like they did, you will find that it'll look identical.
No, like, okay,
As a matter of fact, here's a question I have for you, right? Have you ever seen them to actually test this, right? If this was something that they wanted to test, what they would have done is they would have tried to mock it up the best they could, and they would have taken two pictures, right? Because they have the same film, same settings. They would have taken two pictures and they would have shown them side by side, but they never do. They never do because they know they'll pop up identical.
You don't need a film. You really don't need to take a film or something like this. Like I say, this argument, I think we just can't take away. The like, you just go, if you have
that's where you get hold on. The negative effect is film. The negative effect is film. I don't know what do you think it is?
Yeah, like on the iPhone, you go to accessibility and change your phone to show you negative of the.
It's to look like it was taken with film. Yes, I know. It's to make it look like it was taken with film. I know how it works.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
but
so,
that's
like,
all it's
you don't
doing.
need to- Yeah. Anyways, I think I should be moving. I have, like, my baby will be waking up soon. I sure was hoping for a more like less respectful conversation, especially from the guy before it, when you were talking about the slavery and stuff. And let me jump on this. Like, you know that the Christianity were the ones who abolished the slavery eventually, right?
No, you're not. Do you know who abolished the slavery first?
Who?
The French. During the French Revolution, they were atheist. They were the first people to do it. It was also probably being done in Haiti at the same time, also by atheists, not by a religious movement. It is the fact that after in France, after slavery was abolished, Napoleon, with the blessing of the Catholic Church, reinstated slavery. But it was definitively the French did it, and then Haiti did it as well. So yeah, it wasn't done by Christians first. It was done by atheists first, and then afterwards, Christians was like, "Hey, that's a good idea." And so then Christians that were in a world that was more technologically advanced, they are the ones who then followed on with ending slavery. This is why when we see Christianity, like in the southern United States and other areas that were not as technologically advanced, they abolished slavery later, oftentimes due to war. Like in the southern United States, we had to fight a civil war to get slavery abolished. But no, it wasn't because of Christians, it was atheists. Atheists abolished slavery. In fact, as a Christian,
Right.
you got to agree. As a Christian, you have to agree that slavery is sometimes okay. As an atheist,
as a Christian, I would say that slavery. No, I don't. I would say that slavery is not okay as the Christian.
Was
I would
Jesus
say
wrong then
that
when he said
historically,
was
in reality,
hold on, was Jesus wrong? Just say it. Say, Jesus, you were wrong when you allowed slavery. You were wrong. Like you
Jesus,
allowed
Jesus,
like you said no to shellfish, you said no to bacon, you said no to mixed clothing, you said you have to wear funny round hats on your head. You gotta wear boxes on your foreheads and your arms when you pray. You can't pick up sticks on Sunday. You can't do this. You can't do that. But damn it, you should have said no to slavery too. You should have said slavery's wrong.
well, like I wouldn't say if you're talking about the Old Testament, and like there was also a change of the teaching on the divorce as well. So it is like how the mysterious ways of God works is that
Hold on. Jesus
he
did.
doesn't
Jesus never said you couldn't divorce. Jesus
well,
said you could. Jesus said no divorce except for. So the equivalent to that would be like no slavery except for, right? So
except for
Jesus
what?
never. Yeah. The only time adultery was permissible, or sorry, the only time divorce was permissible was for adultery. Jesus said if there's adultery, you can divorce. Outside of that, no divorce. But Jesus
Like
didn't
on
outlaw
the
it
chastity,
altogether.
right?
Jesus never said no more divorce at all. He just said added a except for, right? That doesn't make it any better, right? Um,
Yeah, but when they ask him like what why did you say this? It's like it's because like you've been allowed the divorce because of your heart, right? Like it's just like how gradually the God reveals Himself. That's how pretty much like, it goes like with the spirit of time. And when we
mhm.
arrive, it's like we also can say why Jesus didn't come like right away instead of
So
Moses,
chat,
right?
here's what I want to know, chat. What I really want to know is why can't Christians ever just say, Jesus, you were wrong for allowing slavery? Like, watch how easy this is, my dude. Watch how easy, Andre. Watch. Chat, I want you to type in, Jesus, slavery is bad. And watch how chat just fills up with, Jesus, slavery is bad. Watch this happen
Wow.
because every atheist,
Man,
and
you're
if
looking
you're a
at it.
moral Christian, if you're a Christian who has morals, you will also say, Jesus, slavery was bad.
Is abortion bad?
Huh?
Is abortion bad?
No, and God doesn't think so either. In fact, it seems to me that God hates children.
Right. Whatever you say. It's just
Yeah,
like you also
well, it seems like that with every genocide God commands, God specifically says, and for them children and them infants, fuck them children and infants, kill them too. And when it comes to like unaliving somebody and committing a sin, he looks at David and says, David, that child of yours, yeah, fuck that child after 7 weeks. And it seems to me that God, if God truly cared about children, and chat, especially the women in chat, this is an argument that I want you to use every time a Christian brings up abortion to you. If God truly cared about fetuses, why did he create the female body in such a way that the female anatomy spontaneously aborts children through miscarriages at a far greater rate than if every woman who ever existed had electively chosen to abort their own child, right? Why did God create the female anatomy to abort more children? That's the question for you women, atheists out there that get faced with this bad argument of you should be pro-life. Why did God create the female body to spontaneously abort children? It's simple. God hates children. If God doesn't value children, why should we?
All right. So like that's how you look. So you're saying that the abortion is all right?
Yeah, I'm
So you
chill with
cannot.
abortion.
Okay. So you
I
don't. So
well
you
let
don't
me
really
let me
have a
let me
higher
let me
moral
rephrase that.
standards
Let me
than an
rephrase that.
atheist, right?
I am chill with the woman having the right to her bodily autonomy to do whatever the fuck she wants with her body. That's what I'm okay with. I don't
Yeah,
think any
that's not
man,
her body.
I don't think a man should ever have a right to tell a woman what she can and can't do with her body. And this is a case where we
What
just keep
constitutes
our
the body?
mouths fucking shut.
What constitutes the body? What constitutes the human person? Like if there wouldn't be conception, there wouldn't be you, right?
Yeah, guess doesn't listen to anything. It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant where her body starts, where the fetus's body, where the child's body. That's irrelevant. Nobody is entitled to anybody else's resources, right? Likewise, again, you still have to contend with, why doesn't God give a fuck about children? Why doesn't God give a fuck about fetuses? Why didn't God take spontaneous miscarriages, spontaneous abortions into consideration? Hold on. Into consideration when he was creating the female body. If he cared, if he truly cared, right,
Yeah,
then
like when
miscarriages would not be a thing.
so like if I believe that the God is all loving and stuff, and if this happens, I believe that the miscarried child will be with God over there in heaven. And if you think of
Oh no,
how
you don't want to
insignificant
run
our
that
existence
argument.
over here.
You don't want to run that argument. That's a horrible argument to run.
Well, like it's one that
So is
kind of like gives me reconciliation.
is it your worldview that all children that are what do you consider the age of accountability?
Kind of wasn't thinking about it much, but like I would say probably 13, 14.
13, 14? And what verses is it? John 3:16, John 3:16. Oh no, sorry, it's not John 3:16. That's the wrong trying to think of the verse that says that he who lays down his life It is. John 15:13. Greater love has no one than this, that somebody lay down his life for his friends. Right? So, listen, it is the case that if all children automatically go to heaven, I think you're going to agree with this too. You should agree with this. If it is the case that all children go to heaven, then the moral thing to do is ensure that all children go to heaven. So we should just abort all fetuses. All fetuses should be aborted so that we, knowing that in your worldview that it's a sin, I am willing to go to hell. I'm okay to go to hell to pass legislation in order to ensure that these children make it to heaven. I think there is no greater good. There is no greater good than to go to heaven. So we should pass abortion policies now. We should reverse the current ruling on Roe v. Wade. Put Roe v. Wade back, bring it back. Let's bring abortion. Let's put abortion on the fast track so that we can send these children straight to heaven. And even though I know by doing that I'm going to hell, but God can't send me to hell, because no greater love has no one than somebody willing to lay down his life for his friends. So it's my one-way ticket to heaven if it exists.
Yeah, but like it doesn't it contradict the do not kill command, right?
Wait, say that again?
So you're not you contradict the do not kill command, right?
It's a justified. No. What's murder?
Murder is intentional termination of somebody's life.
No, it's unjustified. It's unjustified killing. I can terminate somebody if it's in self-defense.
Like accidental.
Yeah, it's justified. I'm sending them to heaven. I am doing my moral duty.
That's not justified.
It is justified.
You're wrongly saying. No, justified.
Yeah, it is justified.
You say like the punish you in the Bible, like let's say the punishment of the sin is death, right?
Are you saying John 15:13? Did John lie when he wrote John 15:13? Did he lie?
No.
Oh, yeah. So I'm willing to go to hell. Hold on. I'm willing to go to hell to send them to heaven.
that's not what it is. You're laying down to save somebody's life,
Yeah, I am
right?
saving their
So you
lives. Yeah, I'm sending them to
misinterpret.
heaven.
You're not
Is
saving. You're not
there a
saving their
great
life,
hold
but
on. Is there a greater good than people going to heaven? Can you name a greater good than going to heaven?
I don't know. Like it's really a
Oh,
strange.
what
Really a
Wait,
strange
hold
question.
on. Is there a greater good? Is there a greater good?
Like God is good. Like I don't know.
No,
Like how
than
is it
going to heaven.
greater good?
Yeah, is there a greater
Is it
good
a worse
than going
bad
to
than
heaven?
people going to hell? Like the question makes no sense.
Well, I know it doesn't. But hey, you've been on here for a long time. We've been talking for about an hour and a
Yeah.
half now. I'm not convinced. I think you brought up some horrible talking points. I think you're absolutely cooked though. But hey, do you have any last words you'd like to say before I let you go?
No, I'm good. Thank you so much for the audience.
All right. So unfortunately, let me check here on TikTok. I didn't see anybody come in. I don't have anybody. So I have anybody in the box. So I'm probably gonna give it a call it a night. Let me go double check some things though. I know I got a couple super chats in there that I wanna make sure that I get before I pop on out. Just gotta wait for YouTube Studio to load up real quick. Look, if you're asking to be blocked on TikTok, you're just goofy. Like, I'm not going to have you blocked because you keep asking for it. And if you get blocked and you're asking for it, you're just not getting unblocked. All right. All right, so we have coming in for the $5 super chat, John 8 verse 4, KJV. I said therefore unto you that ye shall die in your sins, for if ye believe not that I am, ye shall die in your sins. Adele, thank you for the $5. Why would you pray for someone? That's goofy. My new favorite quote. Yeah, it is super, super goofy. Like, I mean, if you're gonna pray for me, pray for me. I still think it's goofy if you're doing it, but don't go announcing it, you fucking Pharisee. Like shit. And then Oz again with $10. In Islam, usury is the second biggest sin. It is explicitly banned. Why was usury made permissible upon Gentiles in Judaism? And why was it made permissible centuries ago in Christianity? Is it slavery? No, I wouldn't say usury's slavery. I think that's a contract that they go into, so I wouldn't say that. And Absurdus Igtheist for the Canadian $2 caller, brain damage, therefore God. Yeah, so it's going to be like P1, I got in an accident. P2, I thought I saw God. Conclusion, God exists. They don't take anything else that is taken into there. So, and then let's do one last check, because I do have. I usually don't receive anything in my Venmos or my Cash Apps. So if you do want to leave me things in my Venmos and Cash Apps, those are definitely also posted in my link trees. I usually don't get much in there, so I usually don't check them, but I'll usually try to check them at the end of my streams. And I don't have anything in there, and that's okay. But hey, everybody, thank you all so much for hanging out with me tonight. I greatly appreciate it. It means so much to me. And Justin, I know he's probably in bed right now because I know he has work, but thank you all who came here from the Justin raid. I appreciate that as well. I'll be back tomorrow night. If you're not already, Jump on over after this. Jump on over. If you're on TikTok, jump over to Reason and Rebellion on TikTok and on YouTube. Reason and Rebellion. Give that a follow and a subscription. I'd greatly appreciate it. If you're on YouTube only, go follow Reason and Rebellion on YouTube. Jaron and I are trying to reach 1,000 followers as quickly as we can, and we're trying to get our watch hours up. I'll be live tomorrow. Reason and Rebellion's Jaron and I, and we are again same time, and it takes place here. Since we finally got over the 50 member mark, I think on Thursday we're going to go back to Jesus and Paul never existed. He's been running that topic for over a year on TikTok, but people on YouTube haven't been that. They haven't been exposed to his book yet. And so now that we're up there, we should start hitting our numbers up there higher. I'm really curious to what YouTube has to think about Jaron and his views on Christ before Jesus and Jesus and Paul never existing. Anyways, with that said, I will see you all tomorrow, and I hope everybody has a fantastic evening.
Plug in